All right. Good morning. Oh, hey, look at that. I forgot to change the date. All right, so this is the 16th day of working on my Game Boy game that just continues to drag on and on. So, yesterday, I spent a good amount of time trying to implement the enemy code into my level editor, and I have been struggling with this for most of yesterday and this morning. The problem that I'm starting to see is that it's for some reason Copilot is just choking on trying to implement the enemy part, and while it's doing it, it's breaking all the other code. So what I'm going to do right now is I've just reverted my code, and actually let me just run this and make sure that this still works. I've done a couple of changes since yesterday. Let's see if these things are reflected. What I wound up doing is I had to take a step back and just reapproach it from the place where I needed to just focus on, can I place enemies down before I even get to the code. And so right now I've removed the restrictions that force you to only put enemies above platforms. And what I've done is I've created this pool now. So as you create enemies and you delete them, you can they come as you create new enemies, they either come back from the pool or the last enemy you've created will move to the new location. So this way you're limiting it to 5 enemies. And this was sort of the math that I had come to yesterday to simplify this, where we can easily fit 5 enemies into the level code. We're going to use 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. These first 5 are going to be for the enemy's position, and then the 6th one is going to be for the direction that they're facing. So what I want to do is this. I'm going to have I want to have Copilot go in and sort of refactoring this stuff, and I feel like I mean, first off, these files are getting like really long, so I need to figure out where the best way to refactor it is. So let's start with I want you to help me refactor. Let's open up CodeGen here. We have CodeGen here, and then I'm going to pass in the CodeGen H, which is the header for the C file. So I want you to help me refactor this file. I want to break out major functionality into their own files. So there should be the core logic for generating the level code. Then there should be a file for handling platforms, one for the player, one for enemies, and one for loading and restoring level codes. Give me a proposal first before you do anything, so we can make sure it makes sense. All right, let's see what it comes up with this time, because this has just been a big pain, and I didn't think the enemy stuff would be that hard, especially as I like worked out all the math yesterday. But it's just really dragging for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I think the problem really comes down, which is why I'm going to do this refactoring now. Is I think the problem is coming down to it is that Copilot's just choking on really large files, and I've noticed this with Lovable. Lovable is like constantly prompting me, like, "Hey, this file's over like 300 lines. I need you to, or I want you to refactor it. Can you go in and refactor it?" And this isn't doing that. It's interesting because Copilot's smart enough to create markdown files for you, but it doesn't like do code. It just, I don't know. It's amazing how each of these do some things better than others, and there's no like one tool yet that's working correctly. All right, so let's see what it has. We have constants, data structures, platform pattern system, enemy platform system, encoding, decoding the game, display system, persistence, VM wrappers. Okay. All right. This looks good. Can you start by adding comments into the code to group, to group each proposed new file into sections before we refactor. All right, I want to see how this works because I haven't really tested out like heavy refactoring. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to think of like how I can break this down into an easier thing, because I feel like if I just tell it like, hey, refactor this code, it's just going to like spit out a whole bunch of like garbage. So what I really need to do is just do this in stages, where the first stage is, all right, we've planned it. It's told me what its proposal is. I accept its proposal. And now I'm telling it to go in and add comments into the section. Because what I'm going to do is say, can you pull this out one section at a time? But we'll use the commenting system in order to do that. Because what I want to do is, as we refactor each piece, I want to test and validate that nothing has broken. Because that's where I'm seeing a lot of the errors. Then what I'm hoping can happen is that when I want to isolate something, like I just want to focus on the enemies, I can tell it like, hey, can you just update this logic? And I can see clearly where it's like having to intersect with other places to make modifications in order to keep it from just like going, wild and doing whatever it wants to do. So while that happens, I'm just trying to take, let me actually open back up. Where was I? My issues. I want to see how many of these issues I've sort of resolved already. Add save level option, add in star when enemy dies. Needs to fix exit generation. I think I've already fixed this. Let me close this issue. This has been completed. Add check for player. Can't save level no player found. This ties into the, I fixed this more or less. Let me see what's going on with, oh, it's still doing its thing. All right, it looks like that's going to take it a couple more minutes. Need to save player, start column, remove player with no platform. I need to double check that. Move exit to player position and editor, done that. Register actors with the tile map, done that. Ability to save level code to global memory, have not done that. Need to look into pattern matching. I don't know what that means. Let me close these ones out, and then I will. Let me see what this ability to need to look into pattern matching. Let me see what this one is. For level generator, entering in level code, we can create a lookup table for each pattern that defines the neighboring patterns. So, okay, we'll do that later. Basically, what that issue was is I was trying to think ahead of how am I going to deal with random map generation, and the way we're going to do is we're going to have to define a bunch of like predetermined patterns so that when the random generator is like, okay, I'll start here, it'll have a little bit more context as to what to do around it. Randomize level code. Fix palette for actor and platform. Add death animation. Need to also player start. I've done this. Create a function to randomize. I've not done this. Shift enemy. Fix this. Need to add in map verification. Use code tiles to store. Use code tiles. Yeah, I've already done this. Okay. Let's mark all of these as completed. And we'll go back into our code and see what it's done. Okay. Yes, continue iterating. Yeah, this file is just like way too big. All right, so once this is done adding in these comments, then we're going to pull out things piece by piece. I think we'll just start with like the player first, because the player, or actually we'll start with the we'll start with the display and make sure all that stuff gets pulled out, because the display has some other issues that I needed to address. I'm also working on another project off screen while this one does this. I have two projects going on at the same time, but I don't have it set up to switch between cameras just yet, or computers just yet. Alright, let's see what it's done. Okay, so file header, we've added a comprehensive refactoring overview. Marked constants and data structure will be moved to platform systems. Level code core sections, main code display system. I'm just trying to see what these files are. Player position tracking variables, player data, fine. Enemy persistent system sections, fine. Main coordinate. Debug functions. Should be debug functions. File footer. Add comprehensive summary to the refactoring plan. Okay, sure. Alright. So this file is now ready for the actual reference refactoring process. Each section is clearly marked, and you can see exactly how the large monolithic file will be broken down into focused maintainable modules. Would you like me to proceed with the actual creating of the separate files to review these sections? Here's what I want to do first. Git status. I think I want to version this file real quick. Let me rerun this. Also, this temp should be ignored. I don't know why that's not being ignored. It should be like this. Anything with this should be ignored. Alright, I'm just double checking that nothing has broken. Let me switch over here. We can still cycle through the platforms. Great. We can move the player. How did that one platform get changed? That was weird. Let me see that again. I think this is this one here. I like how that moves with it. It's pretty interesting. Oh man, when this stuff actually works, like I spent so much time like just trying to get this stuff to work correctly, and like the biggest challenge has really been around making this intuitive. So I've been focusing a lot on the UX, on how to ensure that you only have two buttons really on the Game Boy. So I'm trying to do as much as I can contextually. Like even here, if we switch modes, you can see how the selector keeps changing as to what you can paint. So it's always giving you a preview of what you can paint. And then even stuff like flipping the enemies, you can go, and if you go back over an enemy after you place him, So that's it facing this way. We can do it this way, and if I paint it again, it goes that way, and if you paint over it, it deletes. Also, there's a lot of checks in here to make sure that you can't, well, that I have to add some other checks in to make sure that when you exit this, that you have to always have a player, a platform, and at least one enemy. But I'm glad to see that this has been cleaned up a little bit. Yeah, see, this should throw an error. But I like the fact that you can, if I did platforms like here, oops, and I delete this platform, it just moves it over to the next platform. So, all right, so this is all really good. So let's do this. Against my better judgment, here's what we're going to do. Git status, git add, preparing for code gen refactor. All right. So, I am ready for you to do the refactor. I don't know why I put a period there. Sorry, I saw the comment here. Is the placement one row is for tiles and one is for enemies, and depending on where you press decides what's placed? Yeah. So that is sort of what has happened. There's a little bit more going on under the hood, but in order to compress this level code down so that it was manageable, I do have it where you can only put platforms on odd rows, and you can only put enemies on even rows. So if I switch back over into the editor here, you'll see like the first row is always the player, and then after that it goes enemy, platform, enemy, platform, enemy, platform, enemy, platform, and there's 4 of these going down. And then once you're inside of these platforms, like especially when we're going to here, I have predefined patterns where I've gone ahead and pre-calculated all of the possible platforms you can have in a particular block of the tile map. So the way the blocks are that they're 5 by 2 tiles. And then this allows me to simplify adding in the code. And it means that if I go through and do random level generation, oh, that isn't going to do anything because it's not. I could have it basically just put down some random things, and then that would become the level. So this will simplify random level generation considerably, especially because the Game Boy is going to be like really limited in what it can do. I wish that it had prefaced each of these with code. I might go back in and fix that. I can't remember, and I think in C you have to really you have to reference the actual file itself. So I'll see what this comes up with. I'm not convinced it's actually going to be able to do this refactor. What I'm curious to see though is the solution really, or is the best way to do it by telling it incrementally, like, okay, if we want to do a big refactor, plan it out, comment the code, and then once you have this plan, you can then go and now just follow the plan. Was the one thing I've been noticing is that even though I've been feeding it the plan for how to lay out the enemies, it's continually breaking things elsewhere. So hopefully this will circumvent that. Just working on this other project off to the side in Lovable. I have another project I'm trying to do to help me. I have my jessefreeman.tv, and I'm trying to come up with a website that will showcase the videos and stuff to make it easier to find what I'm doing. Another project that Lovable is struggling on, which to me is pretty standard sort of stuff. Can you find out how to clean up the video? And then while this is going, let me just write this other prompt over here, and then I will come back to this screen. Of course the spammers every time. And I'm too lazy to go and fix this stupid thing. Block. Alright. I have a trip coming up. This Sunday I'm flying out to California for 2 weeks to do some recording at LinkedIn, and when I come back I will actually clean up all the YouTube stuff and the Twitch stuff and get this to a place where I actually have like the bots and all the other things that I need for like if people join and subscribe, because I've sort of been half-assing this lately. I just, now that I got the flow going and I know what I'm doing and I got the recording working and all that stuff, it's time to actually get this fully working and commit to it. I want to be able to pull all the YouTube videos, create. Let's see, create the enemy system, no response returned. Alright, this is where it's starting to break down, so I have a feeling that this is where it's going to screw up. Okay. Oh, whoops. Shoot. I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't paying attention when I submitted that other prompt. Okay. Oh, cool. Now Lovable is broken. Whatever. Alright. There we go. Let's see if it works now. Alright, the level persistence implementations. I'm trying to think now if there are other issues that I need to address here. I'm also not sure how much of this I can do while I'm how much of this I can do while it's it's breaking everything right now. So, all right, let me get this to refactor, and then we can start working on some changes. What I wanted to do, I was sort of setting this up the other day, is if we go to sprites, I have some stuff that needs to be modified. I wanted to add in this grave, although I don't think I'm going to make it a sprite. I think I'm just going to use it as the background tile. I have the ghost, so when you die, this ghost should fly up from your corpse. I have the exit, although I don't know why the color is screwed up, but we'll deal with that one later. I have the enemy, and then I also added some additional frames because what I wanted to do was change the enemy state. I was actually hoping to have two different enemies. I wanted to have walkers and jumpers, but we'll see if I have enough data. There's one character left, and that one character might be enough for us to add in a simple flag to tell whether the enemy is one or two, and then you can at least have multiple enemies. Alright, I'm gonna have a drink while this is going. Alright. Are we done yet? Alright, at least it looks like it's pulling all this stuff out. This is concerning me though, because it looks like, I wonder what is in these files. Oh no, it's pulling them out. Maybe it's going to go back and then later and then delete all this stuff. Oh wait, is there code in here? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, this is not much fun at the moment. I really was hoping that over the weekend I'd be able to finish this enemy stuff, but it just didn't come together. So watching me haggle with Copilot to clean up this stuff so I can move forward is, I guess this is what the new world of coding is like. I will say it has helped me get a lot further. I mean, I haven't done C in a long, long time. So to be able to like at least speed all this development up has been so helpful. I was also debating if I wanted to go back. I was trying to do something with the cloud here where I had two different states for the cloud. This was a fixed direction. I wanted to make another one. Rename small. And I'll just paint this cloud here. Yeah, I was trying to condense these a little bit, so now you have the cloud stuff as one sprite with just different states. The actor animation, I could probably delete all this stuff. I don't need any of these. Before we do that, let's just make sure that this is working, and then I'll start cleaning up some stuff. I'm trying to figure out like what I can do while it's trying to do this refactoring. Man, it is still going. Yeah. My expectations are super low that it's going to be able to pull this off. I'm already looking through the code gen and like I can't see any diff. Unless, okay, I see what it's doing. That's clever. What it did was it created a new file, so it pulled out the stuff that needs to be in CodeGen, pulled it into new, and then now it's going to delete these files or merge. Let's see what's moving. It's moving these files. Right, okay. It's moving them and renaming the files. Now let me create a summary document for the refactoring. Sorry, so this was the original. And then what it did from there is it should have created all of these individual files. Alright, so we definitely need to delete this because it's going to screw everything up. Core. Okay. I wanted to do one other thing. Alright. The files we just created. First, delete the code. Oops. Code gen original C file. Needed. Then add to each of the new refactored code files that were created to group them together better. Alright, let's keep all these changes of what it did. And now, let's tell it just to clean up the file names and everything. Just trying to see if it did anything in here. This code... I feel like CodeGen H has all of this stuff in here, and it really shouldn't. Continue. All right, continue. I have been noticing something weird because I'm working off of my server. I have noticed that a lot of the times when I'm changing the file system stuff, it doesn't fully update. I don't know if that's an issue on Windows. Just reading from my Mac server. Like I'm looking at it here and I see that it's not making any changes. I'll refresh. Okay, now I can see the changes at least. Didn't work. So the next thing I need to do is files. All right, continue. All right, I think we're almost done with this. So the one thing I wanted to do now is before we try to run this, because I already know there's going to be errors, I wanted to clean up the header file for the old CodeGen. If we reload this, we now can see there's a lot of all these code files. Now we need to update the header guard and include statements for each of the header files. Great. All right, continue on. This has gone from like coding to managing, which is fine for me. I mean, I don't mind this because I actually can code it if I really wanted to. I'd just rather be lazy and let it do it for me. Let's continue iterating. So I guess I'm supposed to switch over. I have this other project, and I need to actually start preparing for my LinkedIn course. But I think I have to get this enemy stuff done because I have a couple more days to stream. I am going to try to stream when I'm out in California. I'm just not going to have this full setup. Although maybe I'll bring some stuff with me to stream. I mean, I will have a lot of time. 2 weeks is a long time to be out in I've been doing LinkedIn courses. Let me see, I'm trying to think of how long I've done LinkedIn courses for. I've done LinkedIn courses for almost 15 years now, I think. I think I've done like 45 of them, 46. So this course I'm going to do next week is a full C# design pattern primer, which I can't wait to do. I love design patterns and I love talking about the design patterns. So I have a pretty interesting approach to it too. And my idea really is that I'm just going to give, when you go through this course, I'm going to present a problem. I will give you a a test that could pass, so a unit test to solve the problem, and then you have to implement a solution using that design pattern, and you'll know that it works when it passes the test. So, and I think there's like 40 something design patterns I'm trying to cover, so I think it's gonna be like it's a 6-hour course. There's gonna be a lot of stuff in it. I have a lot of it laid out and mapped out. I just have to like sit down and really go back through my code examples, make sure everything makes sense, and then a lot of it, honestly, I just sort of make up on the fly. Like when I'm out there, based on how the coding stuff goes, I figure out the flow for everything else. But there's gonna be a lot of slides I need to do, a lot of extra content, and yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of work. But it should give me some time to also, I should have some time to stream every now and then. I'm going to try to keep this up because a big part of what I'm building on my other screen, which you can't see, is this site that'll take all these YouTube streams that I'm doing and turn them into easier to digest content. So I like this idea of every morning, just for 2 hours or so, I do a live stream. I just mess around with whatever I'm doing, talk about whatever it is I'm working on. And then if I can turn that stuff into more content, it could help me at least speed up what I'm trying to accomplish here, which is actually get back into creating content, writing again, creating videos, and all that other stuff. All right, refactoring complete. It's been updated. All right, come on, finish up. I wish I could run this in like parallel tasks. Like, I'd love to be able to run this in a way that wouldn't affect me working in GB Studio. Yeah, continue. I have another idea for a project, but I don't know if I'm going to tackle it because I actually have, I think when I come back from California, I want to actually work on a Unity game. I haven't done Unity in a long time. I've been buying a bunch of asset packs. After playing like Mario Mario World or Mario Kart World, I really want to build like some sort of racing game, and I've wanted to build a racing game forever. So I bought a couple of asset packs, and I have some ideas around a racing game. So I'm going to start building that out, I think, next. Let's keep all these files. Alright, so now I just need to make sure that... Alright, now I need you to go into the code H file and remove any of the duplicate function names that have been moved to other separate files. And ensure we have the correct coverage in each code.h file. Alright. Oh, if this does not work, I'm going to be so annoyed. I'm really hoping that my idea of breaking it up like this will make this easier. My gut is telling me, though, that I really should have just done this piece by piece and just done it manually. So, worst case scenario is that if it doesn't work, we'll just revert back. Or I can actually check back out the original code and tell it to pull out whatever it needs. We should have all the events should look good. Just trying to think through what else needs to happen during this refactor. I do want to do a similar refactoring for the paint class. The paint class is what handles all of the logic in C for drawing into the tile map. So the two sort of work hand in hand. There's the paint class, or it's not really a class, it's like a paint file, right? These aren't like defined as classes in C. I don't think C has classes in that sense. Yeah, no, these are just functions. So you have the paint, file, and then you have the code gen file. So the paint file is what actually lets you paint into the tile map, and then the code file is what lets you convert that painting into a level code that can be shared with others. And in reverse, the code gen, when you enter in a code, it's supposed to trigger the paint, and the code, the way at least I envisioned this working, was that entering a character in the code just literally emulates me manually painting something. So the way like I handle so I have all these, I don't know if this is a good example anymore because it's so like I have all these different patterns that represent all the different possibilities you can have in a particular quadrant or block that I call it. And when I tell it, like let's say if I change the first block's letter to 0, then if I go to 1, I literally tell the painting tool, just paint 1 here. 2, paint this here. And it erases this and then paints this. And the reason why is because as I'm using the paint tool, I'm also for free getting advantage or taking advantage of the built-in checks and stuff. So when it like making sure it could place something there, making sure that it does, that it platforms have like a cap on the left and the right. So if I run, so if I'm trying to draw them, it should extend that cap out based on the direction I'm writing. And that to me was the easiest way of implementing this. I mean, I've built so many tile map editors over the years. This one's just a little bit more unique because the Game Boy is severely limited on memory and performance. So I'm trying to cut as like many corners as I possibly can and still have this be functional and fun. Copilot's been working on this problem. Yeah, it's been working on this for a long time. You go in there and fix all this stuff. I'm too lazy to. I'm curious to see what it's been doing. Alright, so it has deleted a good chunk of this stuff, and now it's moving over the VM wrappers. I wish it moved this VM stuff over into its own file. I might do that later on. The way that these VM functions work, if I can like go and find them again. Oh, wait, where did the VM functions go? Fix the includes. Oh, maybe it is moving the VM. Oh, here we are. So the way the VM functions work, this is sort of how GB Studio works, which is great because this would not have been possible had years ago I tried to build this game in GB Studio and it just flat out wasn't possible. But now what I'm able to do is because I can basically trying to figure out how to explain how this works. The way the GB Studio plugin system works is that you are either adding your own C files into a plugin folder. So you can see here I have plugins. This is my tile map editor. There's engine, which are files that will get compiled in with the engine when it does its build. And then each of these includes are the header files, and the core is the C logic. And so in essence, what winds up happening is that either your new files just get bundled in when it compiles, or you can write files that override the default files, and then it'll use that instead when it compiles. It's actually a very clever plugin system because it adds a huge amount of flexibility that just didn't exist in GB Studio before. I don't know when they added that function in because I've only just recently picked it up again. But this has opened up. Now I've just moved as much code as I possibly can into C because it's so much faster than the built-in sort of event system. So anyways, that was a long roundabout way of just saying these VM functions map to JavaScript files, and these JavaScript files are the events that you actually see that you can attach inside of the code editor. All right. This should be wrapping this up pretty soon. Let's see. Alright, perfect. Let me also check the addition of missing types. The code search is finding old cache references. Let me check the actual. I don't know. We're getting into like weird territory. I don't know what it's doing at this point. I was trying to see its summary, what it did. Update, include headers, all implemented files, all headers, update documentation. Yeah, this is where it starts getting into like this weird territory where it really wants to, Copilot really wants to compile the C code for me. So it does a bunch of like weird stuff. I've caught it several times. And obviously can't compile this because that's what GB Studio does. So I was talking, I had another idea for a project and I was sort of talking about it, but then got distracted by something else I was explaining, is that I would love to separate out the build process from GB Studio from the actual front end so that you could have a your own little service that runs locally with all the Game Boy dev tools installed in it, like in a Docker container, and then offload that to go compile and deal with these things versus the front end, so then having the front end be more of just the orchestrator of it. It would allow me to like actually do like CI systems for Game Boy games, which I think would be pretty interesting. This is a weird rabbit hole to fall down because there isn't a lot of money in Game Boy game development these days. So probably have to move on to something that's going to be more profitable. Just like which is why I was saying I'm most likely going to start messing around with a racing game engine. All right, I think it's done now. Come on, let's finish up. All right, come on, I think we can do this now. Let's keep all these changes. And now the moment of truth. There is no way that this is going to compile. Like, it's impossible. I'd be willing to bet anything that it will not compile. But hopefully, the errors it gives me are, yeah, there we go. I would have won a lot of money on that. Hopefully these errors are easy to fix. I'm just going to pass it in all this stuff. Now I need you to address each of these compile errors. There is no need to manually try to compile the C code to test because I have to do it in GB Studio. We're going to give this another couple of prompts before I either pull the plug on this and start over again, or I don't know. I'm really hoping this works. it has made a lot of changes to this thing. I actually want to delete some of these old notes. And ironically, the one thing I needed doing here is not doing. Why don't we do this? While this is still trying to figure out how to fix these errors, I'm going to open up ChatGPT, and we're just going to, can you give me feedback on this approach to adding enemy position codes to my level editor? To my GB level editor. I'm kind of curious to see what ChatGPT has to say about the planning stuff I did yesterday. You mentioned mapping. Mask encoding, be explicit how you map the 5-bit direction mask. Use integer masking internally instead of string compares. Store patterns as bit mask. Right. Let's do this. Well, this works. Alright, we'll have ChatGPT go ahead and double check this. I do like having one AI double check another AI. Alright, it is finished trying to address these issues. Let's see what it can do now. Oh, please work, please work. Almost. All right. Just writing down some notes in this other project while I wait for this to finish running. Alright, tell Lovable to do that. Let's check in on what my junior dev is doing right now. Let's see if this compiles. Come on, you can do it. Oh, so many more errors than ever before. Many functions declared in the headers are not implemented. Undefined global references. Functions being called that don't exist. Wow, it really screwed this up. Well, that at least worked exactly how I thought it was going to. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say for itself while we wait for this to go. All right. 5 characters. Level code structure, 24 characters total. 22 is the enemy direction. Bit mask. Enemy pattern encoding. Empty, rightmost, leftmost. Flip of 3. Fine. Patterns with only one variation are their own flip. Each pattern is mapped to a unique character. For encoding, to encode each enemy slot, compare the top row of the block as a 5-bit mask to the table assigned as a unique ID, encoded as a character. This decode map. This is you a set of strings for faster comparison. All right. All right. I'm getting close to pulling the plug on this because I feel like so much has changed that it really just can't it's not going to be able to recover from this. So what I can do is I might just wind up reverting the code and then just telling it to move one thing out at a time, which is what I should have done, verifying that that works, and then continuing to move things out one by one by one by one. So we'll give it another try. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go switch my desk setup, and then we will continue from there. All right, let's see now here. Try to see how far I can open this door behind me to make sure that this brings some air into my office. Do not want whatever this nightclub music is. Yeah, I'm not happy with this. We're gonna have to redo this whole thing real quick. It's fine. I'm hoping that over the next hour or so I can come up with some progress here so that I can get this. I just need to get these. Once I get these enemies done, everything else will come together so much faster. This tile map editor has been, I wouldn't say more complicated than I thought it was going to be, because I knew this was going to be a challenge, because I have yet to find a Game Boy game that let you create levels in a Game Genie style code that you can share with others. And there's definitely a reason why. It is very hard to do. Alright, please get me closer to compiling. Alright, that's a lot better than what was before. I think it's just a simple token thing. What was it saying? Syntax error. There's just a token. Although I'm hoping fixing this token doesn't show that there's a lot more serious issues going on under the hood. Alright, the functions are incorrectly indented and nested. Let's fix this. Come on, please, please, let this be the fix that I need so I can move on with my life. Come on. Hopefully this will be done soon. Come on. It's like I have the dueling AIs going on here. I have Claude in Copilot doing this coding. On my other computer, I have Lovable working on its project. Yeah, I wonder why I get so like hung up on this stuff. It's like constantly like just adding comment on top of comment. Like doesn't really know how to clean that up correctly. Alright, let's keep all these changes and fingers crossed that this actually works. I think these are where my fingers are. Wasn't looking at the preview monitor. Come on, come on, come on, get past. The warnings are fine. I think it got past it. Look at that. Alright, it has broken a bunch of things. But, well, it looks like it broke, whoops. It looks like it's only broken the, oh no, the level code isn't working at all. Shoot. Let's see if we do this here. Alright. Okay. This is sort of working. I don't know what is going on though. There. Alright. I can compile the code, but a few things broke during the migration or the refactoring. issue is platform layout. When I paint platform tiles, it doesn't update the code. Then when I manually enter a code for the platform, it doesn't always render. It looks like it tries to draw the pattern, but erases a lot of things along the way. So not sure if that was re-implemented correctly to automatically skip tiles when painting to make sure they don't accidentally erase. Alright, this one's going to be a lot more complicated. Let's go into code gen and we'll do this platform system. And let's just give it this and the paint system and see what happens. Alright, but I will say we did make a little bit more progress than before. Just going to try to add a new actor, and I want to make this actor the ghost. I guess while it does that, I'm going to try to add some logic in here, so at least this isn't super boring. On update, we are going to move how do I want to move this up? Set actor position. Save. Actor position. Set actor. Store actor position in variables. I am going to create. Oh, we have a local. So that works. L. And we'll call this one. Whoops, let's move this over to here. L new Y position. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to, while this updates, I'm just going to insert an event before set variable. Actually, we're just going to do this increment. No, wait. Yeah, we'll just set variable because I might need to change the speed. Set variable to value. And all we're going to do is take y. We're going to do some maths by subtracting property. I want this to be a variable. The variable is going to be the y position. We are going to subtract 1 from it. And then here we're going to set the property, the x, we'll leave that the same. And we're going to set the comparison variable new y position. That should make this angel go up. I don't know if this code's going to compile, but Copilot's like doing its thing in the background. Oops, it just completely, utterly disappeared from itself, huh? Wonder why. Let me disable this. Let me disable this. And I just want to see if this thing actually like works on the screen. Alright, so I wonder if we can enable event. I wonder if we can take the math, subtract property y. Wait, we need the pixel y. We can leave that as pixel x. Make this pixels, pixels, and we subtract 1. And then I don't think we need this. Disable this event. Let's see if this just moves up 1. I've had some issues sometimes with trying to run math inside of an actor to manipulate its own position. There we go. Alright, so that works. And then what we'll do here is if variable, we want this to be less than. If it's less than 0, we want this to be a property. Pixel y. So if pixel y is decreasing, it goes above here. We're just going to, for right now, I'm gonna set the position back to, where are we here? 1614. 1614. Oh, it's trying to run this compiler stuff again. You don't need to do that. Oh no, I can. Let's see if this actually works. I may have just broken this from compiling. Alright, good. This will be a little annoying to see, but so it didn't do anything. No, this is a good sign. C, D, E is not painting. F, G, H, I, J, K. Why is E? E's not painting. Okay, all right. So some of the platform code painting logic has been restored, but I am seeing that it ignores drawing patterns that would spill over to the next block. So if I create pattern 1, it should paint a single tile at the end of the current block and a new tile at the beginning of the next block, setting its pattern to 2. Are you correctly drawing default platforms of 2 tile wide when changing letters, because this should automatically happen. Well, this refactoring hasn't been so bad that this is just completely terrible. I was working on this guy here. What I wanted to create was a new script called on death, and what we're going to do is we are going to set the set actor position to property. We'll just use the pixels. We are going to set this to the actor's X and the actor's Y. We're just going to use the player by default. Let's see here. I don't know why I've told it not to worry about doing make, but it continues to want to try to rebuild the project. And there's no C compiler on my computer, but so I'm just doing this in here. All right. I want to see here. All right, it didn't do anything to fix this. You haven't. All right. Platforms or change existing ones. All right. This is not as fun as I wanted it to be. So what I was working on was on death. We were going to set the actor to the player's X and Y position. The actor is going to be a ghost. Oops. A ghost actor. Enable. We'll activate the play. We're going to activate the actor. That will make it move up. So when the enemy when the player dies, we're going to call this script. We're also going to insert an event before. Let me add a comment here. Need to check if the tile is an exit. The idea behind what I want to do here was insert an event after change meta. Whoops. Replace meta tile. We want to do this at the property, the player X, and at the player Y, and we want to change the meta tile to 7 and commit render. Basically what this just means is that when the player dies, it's going to put a tombstone. The player is going to go away. In fact, actually, we should do this too. Insert an event before. Deactivate. Activate an actor, the player. So we will stop the player. Let's see if this will actually compile. Basically what this will happen, what the script is going to do is that when the player dies, we're going to remove the player. We are going to set the meta tile behind it to the tombstone, and then the ghost will appear and move up. All right, this is promising. All right, the player is broken. It's still not drawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 18. What was that E? Code is still not drawing platform 1, 2, or E correctly. Again, this should just use the default paint function as if it was manually painted. So when it tries to create the tile that extends outside of the pattern boundaries, it just draws the 2-tile platform across both boundaries. There should be no check for this. Just use the paintbrush. All right, let's see if sternly yelling at it helps. So what I wanted to do next was
amplify my thoughts so people will quit asking me for sandwiches. That should work, right? I don't know what you're talking about, Space Ghost. Go ahead, my show was...
Trying to see what I was doing here before. Test if next tile is empty. This moves the enemy. There's a collision, I think, on hit. And what happens is... You know what we need to do? I think we need to make the player into the ghost. Because what I'm thinking is that it's too much just to create this new actor. We can come back to this in a second. I was thinking it might actually just be easier to remove the gravity from the player. I don't know how that actually works. All right, we'll take a look at that in a second. Right now, the tile map editor is more important. My thinking is that when the player dies, we just switch this. We switch the sprite state to the ghost, and then just have the ghost move up. Oh, look at this. That actually got restored. Okay, please work. Oh, come on. Let's go here. Let's try it. 1, nope. 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Let's see here. It should do 1. Perfect. Oh my God, it's actually working. All right, let's save the code. I really thought I was going to have to refactor and just like lose my entire morning's worth of work. Let's actually do this where I actually have Git. Refactored code gen files. All right, let's push this to my server. Okay, so now this is working. What I wanted to do is I needed to fix the... Okay. Is there a way to create a flag that ignores the... Well, no, you know what? So there's a thing that's happening that I'm seeing where it's, as I enter in the code, it fights. Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay. I don't know what that song is. I was trying to new playlist for royalty-free songs. When iterating through the platform code, do not update the level code tile. Perform the paint call and let that update the tile for us. This will cut down on the double tile render that is happening at the same time. All right. While that happens, I'm just going to come back here. I just want to double check some stuff. So if I come back into switch mode, perfect. Oh, I knew all the code was there, so that's so good. And I want to make sure I can move the player. Oh, it's not moving the door. Okay, let's do this. Can you restore the logic that moves the exit sprite to the platform below the player's start position? The code or the player should be tied into the paint player logic where it moves the player, then updates the position of the exit sprite. All right, let's see if this now works. What I was noticing, the issue that I was noticing was that we're iterating through the tile. I've tried to come up with a very clever way of storing this like large tile in memory and basically, or this large code in memory, and what I'm using is the tile map as the memory block itself by just changing the tile. And what I've noticed was that when I was iterating through, it was duplicating it multiple times. Now it's actually working fine. There's some stuff that I still need to clean up here. Really what needs to happen is that anytime I do anything with this code, that needs to just run through the paint system instead of doing its own logic. I'm just trying to make sure that all these things render now. Perfect. And if I put the player here, all right, so the logic still exists. Oh, that's interesting. Because it's so high up. The door is screwing that up. Alright. Let's do this. This is a much bigger bug that I need to deal with, but I'll deal with this in a second. I want to see if moving that. Alright, so we'll make this pay. That was weird that it was... Alright. I have an issue where it's like I've mapped... I mapped the button to my X key, and my X key also is my Windows key, so if I hold it down too long, it pulls up the Windows menu. So, alright, what I wanted to see was, I wanted to move the player. Okay, so that's working. Alright, so we just need to fix, hopefully this is an easy fix. Can you restore the logic that moves the exit sprite to the platform below the player's start position when editing the code? It appears to still be working for the player. Alright. I think I missed my opportunity to fixing platform code. All right. Let's see what this winds up generating out for us. I actually like this royalty-free playlist a little bit better. This is a little bit more towards hip-hop R&B. All right, come on. I can stream for another 20 minutes, then I gotta start shifting gears to some other projects, but let's see. Hopefully this now works. And then, like all good refactoring, after 2 hours of doing this, I'm right back to where I started, but the code is slightly cleaner. Alright, I'm just trying to set up some platforms here. Let's get a K in here. Oh cool, it won't draw that because the tile that was the exits there? That's not good. Alright. Alright, at least this logic is now back. And I wanted to see, I can place enemies down, I can delete tiles, I can delete this, and if I delete this, it doesn't, alright. When the platform, alright, let me just do this real quick. Oops. Git status. Git status. Git add all. Git. Whoops. Git commit. Restored exit position. Logic. Alright, let's see. What do I want to do next? Let me push this code. One of the things what I really need to start doing is getting it to where it like actually like saves the tile map that you create. But that's a whole other can of worms. I really need the enemy stuff going. I'm trying to think if I have enough stuff working. All right, let's do this. Let me bring in, I'm going to bring in the changes from ChatGPT. And let's put this here. I'm also kind of curious about, I wonder where it where it stores all the patterns. There's some cleanup that I probably need to do. I'm just looking at some. Here we go. These are the patterns. You know, I was thinking about this earlier, and we should actually. I'm going to create a new chat here, just so it has fresh context. I want to actually fix this platform system. Right now, it's looking at a 5x2 block of the tile map, but since I've limited platforms to only be rendered on a single row and only on odd rows, there's no need for the first 5 chars of the level platform. Platform pattern. Can you simplify the logic to only look for patterns in 5 blocks, for patterns in the rows where platforms are created, to see if we can optimize this lookup system. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. I think this is going to be the last sort of task I'm going to do on the stream. Is that it dawned on me when I was trying to figure out the enemy stuff, is that the enemies are I'm only looking at patterns that are 5-bit flags or bit masks long. There's an old system that I had where I wanted you to be able to create platforms sort of on any row. Excuse me. So I needed like I needed these blocks to be like 5 and 5, but I can get rid of these first 5 zeros, and that would actually speed up, not considerably, but just enough so we're not looking for, instead of us looking for 10 tiles, we can only focus just on the 5 tiles that we need for each of the platforms. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I actually really love using AI for, because it's just tedious stuff. Normally, like the way I get around watching or get around like the time it takes for us to render is I'm usually just working on 2 projects at the same time, which I think is like one of the best benefits of vibe coding. It's a little hard to do on the stream, and because this stuff is a lot more technical right now, it's hard to just tell the AI like, hey, go do this, and it's not going to give me a quick response. We're pretty deep into the project now, but I'm hoping that these changes that I did this morning, these refactoring changes, one, will make it a lot easier for me to now modify the code in isolation. So after the stream, I'll continue working on the enemy layout logic. Once I finish that, should be able to tell it like, hey, just modify the code in this one file, and then only what you need to outside of it. And this will keep it from like trying to deal in this like monolithic file where it can't copy and paste and edit and do things because it starts running out of memory. I'm just reading through what it's trying to do here. Yes, I want to continue iterating. Alright, come on, finish doing your thing. coordinate with the super from my office to fix the AC. All right, and let's see if this code is almost done. We should be there very soon. Alright, it's updating the documentation, great. I mean, I do like that it updates the documentation, it is helpful. Alright, let's see if this still works, because this would be a huge win. If I can get any... if I can get any performance back from the tile map editor. Well, that was weird. Why did it go to G? Did it change? J, K. Wait, what is going on here? Why are there so many characters now? Wait, what's going on here? Hold on, let me go over here to this. Oh my god, what did it do? How did it screw this up? Wait, I don't understand. I don't understand what you did. There were 21 patterns. Right? Like if I undo this... Wait, what is going on here? Why can't I... let me look at the code real quick. What happened on GitHub? That's not my GitHub repo. Let's see. What did it do here? Code platform system. So what you did here, there were 20 patterns. So you don't, so why am I seeing patterns all the way up to V? Whatever that code is needs to be removed. And you need to look back at the previous patterns and only remove the first 5 chars, but don't make up new patterns or letter mapping. That was really weird. I don't know why. I'm trying to understand what this is. I also don't understand. Like, it's making up. Oh God, I hate when it does this. It like made up a platform. These aren't even valid. What it's doing here. So it just decided to do its own thing. You're absolutely right. I've apologized for the confusion. I misunderstood your request. Yeah, you did, because you didn't follow directions. It's super easy. All right. Let's keep this and let's see if this fixed it, and then this will probably be where I end. Yeah, I don't know who this Honey James is, but I feel like this person was in the chat a while back saying that their headphones didn't work and wanted me to type to them. Which is a nice request, but 1, 2. Okay, good. I think it's restored it finally. H I J K. Okay. That is working now. Git status. Git add all. Git commit m. Cleaned up platform patterns. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to end the stream for now. So I've refactored all this stuff. I've cleaned up the way that the pattern matching works. What I'm going to do next is there's a little bit of some cleanup that I need to do right now for the pattern matching stuff. I'm just noticing that every time it paints, it's like redrawing that tile. So it's redrawing the code tile, so it just looks like it's flickering too much. So I need to have it come up with a system to fix that. But other than that, I think we're good to go. So I am going to be streaming tomorrow and Wednesday, but then after that I'm going to be in California, or 4th of July weekend, and then I'll be in California, so I got to figure out how to handle that. So I think that's it for right now. So thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.